Let's now settle for the details of the stories. Now, the Central Regional Minister has called for sign language interpreters to be stationed in various hospitals in the region to help promote quality healthcare, especially for the hearing impaired. This, Akwane's Kwanzaa believes, should address the current communication gap between healthcare providers and the hearing impaired. He was speaking at the launch of President Mahama's Easter get-together for the physically challenged at Salt Pond in the Central Region.
The ceremony was attended by about 1,000 physically challenged persons in the Ekumfi and Mpantiman municipality of the Central Region. Central Regional Minister Akwane's Kwanzaa asked metropolitan, municipal and district chief executives in the region to attach importance to the needs of the physically challenged.
Let us not be discouraged by our situation. We need sign language personnel to aid the deaf and dumb, not only in our hospitals but also other organizations to help break the communication barrier.
Deputy Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection John Alexander Akon underscored government's commitments to giving PWDs a better life.
Persons with disabilities have not been forgotten in the Easter celebration.
Participants were treated to assorted foods and drinks, plus free health screening and distribution of some items.
A fatal accident on Easter weekend is testing the faith of members of an SDA congregation in the Ashanti region. 9 people died in the accident on their way back from a religious gathering. Now, others who survived are in hospital receiving treatment for injuries. Now, as they mourn the dead and attend to their injured relatives, members of the Meduma SDA congregation say it is only their faith which is helping them through these trying times. Ashanti Regional Correspondent Mohammed Nuruddin reports.
These are members of the church who came to the hospital to confirm for themselves news about the accident. Some of them have as many as 4 relatives either injured or dead in the accident. Emmanuel Jima recalls with anguish his last telephone conversation with his sister shortly before the accident.
It took us a surprise. The whole issue came as a surprise. In fact, we have just closed. And then I spoke to my sister about 10-15 minutes. Then the incident happening. Surprise. In fact, I saw a police vehicle with the cops. There are about 4 or 5. About 5. I saw they passed us about 15 minutes, 10 minutes. I wonder why. What has happened to us? I don't know.
But Emmanuel says his faith has been strengthened despite the loss.
We leave it to God, but we will go. Oh, we have to worship God. This will not stop us to worship God.
Little Derek Sapon is one of the survivors of the accident, discharged from the Ankasi hospital. He is here at the Komfanochi Teaching Hospital to see his mother and other siblings who sustained injuries. Agnes Opokua is the auntie of Derek.
He's my nephew. He's been emotional because he has not seen his mother, who was also involved in the accident. His mood has changed now that he has seen.
The church has promised not to let the bereaved families down at this critical moment and have announced plans to support them. The details are, however, yet to be made public. President for the Mountain View SDA Conference, Pastor Abankwa Amwakuhene, spoke to Joy News.
We've spoken to the hospital authorities that all the bills of those who are over here should come to us. So yesterday we signed an undertaking that none of them should pay for their bills. We are going to take charge of that.
The church elders have meanwhile been meeting the bereaved families.
Deputy Director of Public Affairs at the Ghana National Fire Service, Billy Anaglate, insists that owners of filling stations stick to the prescribed guidelines in the siting of the gas and petrol filling stations. He spoke on the AM show this morning.
Some of those gas filling stations I know might be violating the rules and regulations because it is not all these gas filling stations probably might be doing the right thing. As much as I know that some of those gas filling stations initially have been at the outskirts of the town, but development has catch up with them. The people seeing the gas filling station here, they have gone to build close to those gas filling stations. That is what I think some of the residents find it difficult to comment, because the gas filling station might be there before some of them has gone to build a gas filling station in there. Apart from that, the fire service look at the safety aspects, because there are other regulators when it comes to installation of gas filling station. The fire service look at the safety aspect of it.
I also want to come back to the, bigger issue of us recording 1,539 fire cases in the first quarter alone. Is this normal, or this is abnormal?
Well, I think the fire service need to be commended.
With 1,539?
Exactly, because I'm doing comparison.
Okay.
Of that of last year, the same period, we had more than 2,000 fires within the same period. I believe that was why the chief officer was able to put in several mechanisms to ensure that we really get to everybody. These days, I believe you'll be surprised to know that the fire service is now having community door-to-door fire safety education. Community door-to-door.
I haven't seen your men in my home yet.
Well, then you see us one day. Now we carry the fire safety education to communities. Sincerely, we get to the community. We talk to the chiefs and opinion leaders of the people. We settle on a particular day, and then we get in there even with our dance band just to attract people.
Oh, okay.
Then we begin to educate.
So this is more like a town hall kind of
yes,
meeting.
Yes, exactly. And even in our open, at times we use the market side where we educate people, so that we can have a lot of people to educate. Okay. That is what we are doing.
Meanwhile, the Town and Country Planning Department has also been commenting on yesterday's explosion at Dansoman. They are blaming the problem on the rapid development of the locality in question. Gladys Mukwa is a planner at the Town and Country Planning Department.
Why are we seeing a lot of filling stations, fuel, gas stations springing up in residential areas?
This is very interesting. These are things that by the way we are developing, they are becoming part of us, and they are things that we need as we go on in our development.
Okay,
that's
so
why we are seeing them springing up in areas that originally will not be.
Okay, but my understanding, because I've got the National Deputy PRO of the National Fire Service with me right now. We've also had a conversation with the EPA. The Town and Planning, Town Country Planning Departments, I understand, has the overall say. You can stop any of these if you want to, because you have the final say. So why have you allowed it?
Well, it's not as if that we have allowed it. Before you put up a filling station or a gas plant, you need a permit. And for us as planning, we are looking at the land use issues. So before you do that, you have to check and be sure that whatever you intend to use your land for is as the master plan says. But like you said earlier, there are areas which have been designated for such activity as best known.
So let me ask about the specific Dansoman issue yesterday. Is it one that has come to your attention?
No, please, not yet.
Okay. So when you realize that a filling station, a gas station has come up in the residential area, as the planner of the town, what would you do?
Well, in this instance, with the Dansoman one, I don't know which particular area you're talking about. But assuming that they do not have a permit, then it means that you have to lock up the place.
So, this incident that occurred in Dansoman yesterday, is it just you who may not be aware of it, or is the office in general?
Well, I'm talking as a person, but I'm not aware.
Welcome back. A retired police chief, Superintendent Paul Avui, has advocated the establishment of a police enlistment board to prevent fraudulent recruitment into the service. According to Superintendent Avui, monetization of police recruitment in Ghana is pervasive and has been going on for years. He said as a teacher at the police training school in 2005, some recruits confided in him that they paid money before they were enlisted into the service. He spoke to me earlier today on Joy News Desk.
There is an old adage which says that little drops of water form a mighty ocean. When you start collecting money, collecting bribes before people are enlisted, small, little by little, it gets bigger, and that ended up in this big scam. If the practice weren't there, I don't think these civilians will have taken advantage of the situation with the support of police officers to do these things. The way the system has been changed has compounded the problem. The times and people report at the various regional training schools for the exercise to be carried out, you know, but at a point in time, it doesn't happen like that.
I see. So, Superintendent, one thing I gather is that it seems you're calling for a return to the former system we had, where if you need to get enlisted, you just go to the post office, purchase a form, and go through the normal process. Things seem to have changed.
The point is that, you see, you weigh you do a SWOT analysis of what used to be and what is happening now, and then find a better way of doing it so that there'll be equity, fairness, and transparency in the system. You know, it's transparency that is important.
So, I want to find out one thing from you. From where you sit, you've been in it seems to be the case, you've been in the process long enough and you've studied the system. From where you sit, what do you think will be the best approach in handling this?
The best approach is probably to revive. I don't know whether they still have it. They used to have a police enlistment board. You know, we should have a police enlistment board, and the composition should not only be limited to policemen, but they must have some, reps who are, outsiders coming into that board for the sake of transparency.
The eastern region town of Kwewu has over the years become synonymous with Easter festivities, with many revelers trooping to the town to have fun during the period. Residents of Adidome in the Volta region, however, feel they have an even better Kwewu in the Avakpe mountains in their town and want authorities as well as revelers to begin to look their way.
The Avakpe mountain near Adidome in the Volta region is about 1,500 feet tall and is an undeveloped tourist destination. For some time now, residents have turned the Avakpe mountain into a recreational center for Easter festivities. Many congregate there now for picnics. The peak of the mountain presents the best view for surrounding communities within the locality. Residents and local authorities are ready for investment and want the tourism potential of the area tapped and developed to the likes of any good one across the world.
Well, I think it's a destination I might be looking at pretty shortly. But businesses around Lake Bosomtwi in the Ashanti region are protesting against levies imposed by the District Assembly. For close to 5 years, the Bosomtwi Assembly has blocked the only gateway to communities surrounding the lake. People traveling to the area are being compelled to pay 1 to 15 cedis each to be allowed entry. Erastus Saidonko joins me now on the phone lines with some more on this particular one. Hello, Erastus.
Yeah.
Erastus, can you tell me much more about this?
Yeah, exactly. This started about 5 years ago, and now the residents and people who have business to do around the lake are now fed up. Now, they charge every resident, every person who visits the lake, I mean the 22 villages around the lake, they charge them 1 cedi on a normal working day. On holidays like Easter festivities and Christmas, now they sell the rice to the lake to individuals who charge between 5 and 15 cedis. So every vehicle that is entering the lake via this route is stopped. All occupants of the vehicle will have to get down, and you will have to pay the gate fee for that day, if it's 5 cedis, 10 cedis, or 15 cedis. And this is what the business outlets, the hospitality outlets around the lake are complaining, that this is not right.
So what are authorities saying? Is there no way around this particular situation?
Well, I called the DCE for the area a short while ago, and she told me that it is a normal happening around the globe. Even in Ghana here, people pay to enter certain places. And around the Bosomche district, they do not have any revenue-making venture aside the lake. And so that practice is not going away anytime soon.
I see. So how are residents reacting to this?
In fact, people get angry, and on days like Easter holidays, for example, yesterday, if you were there, you could see the confrontation that ensued between security officials, macho men, and some normal citizens. Because if you are even living around the lake in one of the villages, you will need to be asked questions. You need to be quizzed to find out whether indeed you stay within the villages before you are allowed to cross the barrier. And people get infuriated most of the time. Tourists alike are also not happy with the fee, because they claim they booked reservations to the various outlets online, and so they were not told of any fee at the gate, and so they are not going to pay. And so it results in confrontation and scuffles sometimes.
Okay. Erasu Saridonko, thank you so much for that update from Lake Bosomche over there. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back with some more news. Time now for business, and businesses are still worried there's been no significant improvement in the energy situation. Now, though the load shedding exercise seemed to have been eased for the Easter celebrations, business owners contend that it is only cosmetic. Executive Director of the Association of Ghana Industries, Seth Chumakwabwa, reiterated to Joy News, businesses will continue to lose revenue if the crisis is not immediately resolved.
We have a monitoring mechanism. Companies actually record those in the arrangement or part of the network. They record anytime the power goes off, and then record when it comes back. So at the end of the month, we collect this information and we're able to tell how far or how much power is being given to them. We are yet to do the compilation of the current systems to know whether there has been improvement. For now, we can't say. You see, once in a while, you could see that if you were expecting the power to go off and it doesn't go off, you could be positive about it, but it does not necessarily mean improvement. Have we actually increased the energy stock? We don't want cosmetic improvement. Cosmetic improvement is where if you have if it's weekend, for example, industries are not operating, and then your homes, the lights are not going off, and you say it's improvement. That is not. You need to have a look at the energy stock. Ask yourself, if we are now having a shortfall of 500 megawatts from the Akosombo, from the hydro, are we increasing the thermal production? What are the indicators? What are coming in? We're talking of budgets, new budgets coming. Have the budgets come in to add the 250 or so? If they all have income, how can you talk about improvement? It is still not the best of situation for us, and indeed companies are having serious challenge with it.
Ghana is expected to start implementing the Common External Tariff (CET) regime by July 2 after it receives parliamentary approval. About 986 million cedis is likely to be lost in revenue if the CET is not implemented this year. But businesses say the delay will afford them time to educate themselves on how the CET operates.
The 15-member Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, were expected to start implementing the Common External Tariff (CET) regime, but Ghana was unable to meet the implementation deadline because it is yet to receive parliamentary approval. The delay in passing the CET bill, however, will mean the revenue target from its implementation may fall short this year. But businesses say they are not fully ready for the tariffs.
As for readiness, I don't think we can say we are ever ready, but it is important that as a business person, when there is new introduction, policy of a sort, you should take interest and know whatever is going to happen and plan for it. Businesses need to take interest and know what tariff was I paying before the introduction and how much am I going to pay, what rates am I going to pay after the introduction.
The delay also for the private sector could be some good news.
Some of us who have been monitoring, developments, we knew it wasn't going to be possible for us to start in January because it's not only Ghana that is introduced, it's the whole ECOWAS. And you need to be sure that the various parliaments, the various key ministries and governments of the ECOWAS region have all endorsed it before it comes into effect. So being delayed to June or July for me is not a big deal. What is important is re-sensitizing the various stakeholders in our countries so that everybody be aware, because it has very serious implications on businesses. If you were under a certain tariff regime, with the introduction of the common external tariff, some of the tariff regimes are going to change. So we need to know about it.
Apart from the estimated 986 million cedis to be lost if the implementation does not take place this year, an impact assessment of implementing the ECOWAS CET conducted by the Ministry of Finance pegs additional revenue to government as a result of implementing the CET to an estimated 1.4% of the total value of commodity imports in 2013. The report forecasts total imports to be 48.99 billion Ghana cedis in 2015, with estimated revenue gain of 686 million Ghana cedis, signifying over 3% of tax revenue increase.
General Manager of Talo Oil, Charles Daku, says the company is making a deliberate effort to groom Ghanaians to take up leadership roles in the company. Charles Daku was appointed about 2 years ago as the first Ghanaian head of the Jubilee operator. Now, a recent decision to lay off about 70 employees, including Ghanaians, prompted by the sharp fall in crude oil prices has attracted criticism, with many suggesting the locals should have been spared. But Charles Daku says Talo remains true to its local content commitments, especially under his watch.
We believe that it's the right thing to do to use local staff to run a local company. We want Talo Ghana run by Ghanaians. So from our common perspective, we are ourselves looking for as many Ghanaians as we can bring into the business, because that's the right way to do it. They are the people, the local people. They can understand the local terrain and they can facilitate the work on the ground. Myself and my leadership, I don't want to make it personal, but my leadership team have propelled a new vision for the company, and we're working to fulfill that vision systematically. It's a vision of empowering the Ghanaians to take up leadership in the company. That's part of the vision, which is consistent with the group vision of running a local Ghanaian company by Ghanaians. And my agenda has been to deepen, one, the search for locals, two, the capacity building for local Ghanaians to be able to step up and assume higher responsibility within the company.
The Institute of Fiscal Studies and Imani Ghana say the government has failed to show sufficient commitment to fiscal discipline. At a media briefing today, the two groups asked government to consider hedging so that when crude oil prices further drop, Ghana will not be adversely affected. Etonam say is that the program, well, she's just returned from the program. She's joined me now for some more on this. Etonam, so why are the groups accusing government of fiscal indiscipline?
Okay, about the fiscal indiscipline, they spoke about the fact that government is yet to clear the payroll of ghost names, and the fact that we are spending unnecessarily, we keep borrowing and borrowing and borrowing, and so they went on and on and on about the fact that government has a high appetite for borrowing, which must stop, and the fact that you have to clear the payroll list of all the ghost names, and if we don't do that, we're going to keep borrowing to pay ghosts which do not exist anyway. And then they also spoke about hedging. Between 2010 and 2012, we were hedging, and so crude oil prices were not really affecting oil companies in Ghana. But as it stands, it dropped from July 2014. The crude oil prices dropped from $115. Now it's around $47, which is really not helping oil companies. That's why Talo Oil is laying off, for instance. And so they are talking about the fact that this is avoidable. When you hedge, you have a particular price, and so you don't go either below or above it. Or when the prices drop, oil companies in Ghana will not be affected. And so they're talking about the fact that we should hedge. Hedge is very important. They don't know why government is not hedging. The last time we spoke to the Ministry of Petroleum, they're talking about the fact that they are looking at MPA to hedge, but they are looking at, we spoke to government, they said they were looking at MPA to hedge, but according to Imani and the IFS, they said it's not, MPA is only a regulatory body, and so they're hoping that government will hedge. And everybody is running away from the issue of hedging. They don't know why government.
Now, this hedging thing seems a bit technical to me, and I'm sure many more Ghanaians or people outside. What really goes into this hedging? What is it at all?
Okay, when you hedge, you give a static price for crude oil prices. So when the prices on the market, which you don't know whether it will fall or rise, when it falls, because we export and we import crude oil. So when it falls, it will not affect, because you have a standard price. It will not affect you. But when it rises, fine, you will enjoy. But when it falls, you will not be affected. Right now, it's falling. Like I said, in July, it fell from $115 per barrel. Now it's going for $47 per barrel, which is not good for Ghana. And because of that, government, for instance, is saying they're going to cut on expenditure so that we don't get affected. And Talo is also laying off workers because of the same fall in crude oil prices. So hedging is a must, according to the group that spoke today.
Okay, Etonamsi, thank you very much. Etonamsi is my colleague right here joining you. She gave me a lot of education on hedging. Well, I've learned something. I don't know whether you have. But that's it for the business segment. We'll be back with some more news. Uneasy calm has returned to Sushen in the New Joburg municipality in the eastern region following clashes which left 8 people injured. The injuries are said to be the result of clashes between 2 rival chieftaincy factions. Haruna Yusuf Wompany joins me on the phone lines for the very latest on this now. Haruna. Okay, so what's the latest with the story?
Yeah, the latest of the story is what brought the whole issue yesterday was the fact that on Saturday, when the National Sanitation Day, the Vice President came to join the people of Eastern Region to do the cleanup exercise, he decided to pay a courtesy call to the chief at Sushan. And when he went to the Sushan, I think they interacted, though I don't know what actually the Vice President told the chief, but they had an interaction. And according to the chief, told the Vice President that they need development in the community. Most especially, they needed community center in the community. So the chief then took this initiative and said, okay, once he interacted with the Vice President, he also needs to organize a deba so that he can put whatever he and the Vice President interacted on so that the people in the community will also know what is happening. So he had that deba, and as soon as the deba ground was well organized, at exactly 4:30, the chief started to speak. Then the aggrieved youth were agitating. They started throwing stones. They threw stones to the extent that 8 people sustained some minor injuries. And as I speak to you, they are currently at Jumapo Hospital receiving treatment.
Wompany, we are told some 8 people sustained injuries in these clashes. Now, what are their kind situations? How are they faring now?
Yes, I visited, when I spoke with the spokesperson to the Omahine of New Joburg traditional area, Nana Eni Bonsu, who doubled as the Kuntu Hine of Sushan, led me to the place at the hospital to see, and in fact they are responding to treatment.
Okay.
At the hospital.
All right, so talking about security, what has the police been saying, or what have they been doing to maintain peace in the area?
Yes, I earlier on called the municipal police commander to hear what he would talk about the issue, whether the police at yesterday, what happened, but he told me that he's at a meeting. So after the meeting, I should come back and we'll have the interview. I want to interview one-on-one on that.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much, Haruna Yusuf Wompany from the Eastern Region for that update. But I've been joined also on the phone lines by ACP James Azuma about Deputy Eastern Regional Police Commander. Hello, ACP. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us. We would like to find out how volatile the situation is at the area and plans by the police to ensure that peace maintains in the area.
The area is very calm. There's no volatility anywhere. And the police are firmly on the ground as usual and unusually.
Okay. So these clashes, well, the police say they are not clashes, but how would you term them and why?
Your question again?
We are told there were clashes, but the police are saying it wasn't really a clash. It was an altercation. Is that the case?
I said there were skirmishes between the supporters of one chief and the rival, in which stones were pelted. Those were pelting stones. And my understanding is that the stones hit some people that got them injured. And the police went in and stopped the stones throwing.
Okay, sir.
That's all that happened.
All right. So have people been arrested? Have people who caused these skirmishes you talk of, has anyone been arrested yet?
No. If you understand what skirmishes are, if people are standing far away or in their houses and throwing stones, definitely you find it difficult to arrest. Whom are you going to arrest? That we are on the ground, and if anybody can point out to any of the persons who took part in the stone throwing or rioting, we will pick those people up for investigation.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much, sir, for that update. That's ACP Abba with some updates on that, telling us that the situation is not as volatile as many are claiming. Let's go to Wa now. And Upper West Regional Police Commander DCOP Kwesi Mensah Duku has denied claims that the police in the region are leaking information to suspected criminals. Speaking at a media briefing in Wa, DCOP Mensah Duku said, despite the presence of some bad nuts in the service, the police should not be entirely blamed for the upsurge of criminal activities in the region. Our correspondent Rafiq Salam joins us with some more on that. Hello, Rafiq.
Hello,
where is this allegation that police are conniving with criminals coming from?
You know, last week there was an event that was organized by the ASODEF in partnership with the One Municipal Assembly. And then security was top of the agenda. And then what the people said was that they accused police officers of colluding with criminal elements in society to really rob the people. And, you know, they said the information that they have been given to the police will give this information to the robbers and they will come to hunt them. And so this morning at the press conference, which was organized by the police command in the West Region, DCOP Kwesi Mensah Duku stated that there is no scintilla of truth in what the assessments or what residents in Wa are saying. And so he has even, he said for 2 years since he came, that has been what he has been clamoring for. People should come with information, and nobody is coming with that information. So he said he's really surprised about what is really happening. But entirely, he said he's not going to blame the police entirely for what is really happening, because for them, they think that for them, the society also say the blame. He talked about this subculture people are having here called Hijabu, means that everybody is one, or like everybody is like an added keeper. And so they are saying that because there are cases that are brought to the police, and then within a blink of an eye, they are taken out of the police station for out of police settlement. And so he says that you can't blame the police entirely for what is really happening. And so that's the situation here at the press conference.
Okay, the credibility of the police in the area seems to be in question. Are they coming up with a strategy to regain their credibility and get the confidence of the people back, reposed back into them?
Yeah, they are saying that the IGP is not really happy with what's really happening in the Upper West region. And so the IGP sent some men to give out the police in the regional capital especially. So they have much of strategies, and they are coming out with... Hello?
Yes, I'm here, Rafiq.
Yeah, he said they have come up with strategies to at least get this practice in the back. One thing they are talking about is the issue of police station, putting up more police structures You know, these robberies that are occurring in the Upper West region, they are occurring around the eastern corridor of the Upper West region. We are talking about Kajipel, we are talking about Isa, we are talking about Wallenbella. And so they have been able to put up some police posts in those areas. And so these are the subsidies that they have done. But we also talk about personal security. And then, you know, surprisingly, when the press conference was going on, just a stone throw away from the police station, there was a motor theft syndicate that came around and picked a motorbike in front of the police station, just around the fire service. And so it's like the rules there, but the police said they are really in control of this.
Thank you very much, Rafiq Salam, reporting from Wa. We're taking a break here. We'll be back with more. Well, that was Kwame Juma with sports. Now, in a special political desk feature today, we examine why many of the smaller political parties have become dormant after the 2012 polls. Now, the Electoral Commission has been challenged to adopt a tougher stance against dormant political parties that only come alive during general elections. Apart from the governing NDC and the main opposition party, the NPP, the majority of parties that contested the last election have become dormant with non-functioning party offices. The Political Parties Act gives the EC the power to withdraw the license of such parties. Kwache Afreniamo of a Political Desk has more in the following special report.
To tell you that when you vote the PNC to power, your problems, inshallah, by the grace of God, we shall work together to solve the problems of this nation.
Flag bearer of the PNC in full campaign mode as a canvas for votes ahead of the 2012 elections. Before the crucial polls 2 years ago, the relatively smaller parties were not left out as they vigorously engaged the electorate in a bid to secure votes. These political parties and their candidates, including the Great Consolidated Popular Party, National Democratic Party, and the only independent candidate, Jacob Osei-Yeboah, matched the National Democratic Congress and the New Patriotic Party boot for boot on the campaign trail. But after the election, little has been heard of them. Dr. Henry Latte of the GCPP tells me his party has been speaking on sensitive national issues. He mentions that the GCPP waded into the controversy when minority MPs refused to participate in the vetting of ministers. He also indicates that the party has been outlining measures government can take to arrest the fall of the cedi. Dr. Latte explains that his party has shied away from commenting on national issues as it wants to avoid criticizing the government.
We are not talking a lot because it's only bashing and bashing and bashing. There's all negatives, all negatives. I find it difficult when there's always criticisms, just criticizing, criticizing and criticizing. I believe that if we have positive ideas that can help government, we should put it in the media. If the government does not take it, the Ghanaian people will decide when it comes to election time. But if you don't come up with good ideas and all you do is just criticize, just to make the government unpopular so that you win an election, I don't believe in that.
For the People's National Convention, their inactivity is mainly due to logistical challenges. Bernard Mona is General Secretary of the party.
It is important for you to strategize to see how you'll be able to deploy your resources to the best advantage that you have. And for us, that is why you need to see what you can do. So as a party, knowing the logistical deficiency that we have, we are working ourselves to see how we put the little that we have to the best use so that at the end of the day, it doesn't appear that you started early and then you cannot complete the race.
Mr. Mona adds that the media is also a big part of the problem. According to him, the press refuses to give the relatively smaller parties a platform to articulate their views on national issues. When I approached the national chairman of the National Democratic Party, he had a different explanation. Dr. Josiah Ayi tells me the NDP has been focusing primarily on avoiding the mistakes that led to their disqualification in 2012. Dr. Ayi says the NDP has maintained a low profile after the election for purely strategic reasons.
You have 4 years in which to plan parliamentary and constituency elections, so you don't really go all out right from the beginning. You've got to pace yourself and know when to hit the ground running, know where to put your money, and so that's exactly what we're doing.
The only independent candidate in the last poll, Jacob Osei-Yeboah, rejects any suggestion he has gone to sleep after the election.
A lot of people will tell you that the only active independent presidential candidate after election is 2012. You know, right from the time that the CD started declining, I normally issue out statements. I mean, directing, telling Bank of Ghana that, hey, what you're doing is going to worry us as a country, our economy.
One thing is obvious. These political parties have struggled to meet the strict terms set out in the Political Parties Act. Remaining functional goes beyond holding media events. The law says, quote, where a political party has refused, neglected, or failed to establish or maintain a national office, or to establish or maintain a regional office in every region, the Commission may cancel the registration of that political party. The central question then becomes, how many of these relatively small political parties have met this requirement since the last elections, and what has the Electoral Commission done to enforce the law where a registered party fails to fully comply?
Interesting, you know, and well, Christ has arisen. Let's see how many of these smaller parties will rise up next year. Now let's do some entertainment, showbiz, and the 2015 Ghana Music Industry Awards came off over the weekend with colorful performances from artists slated for the night, among others. Veteran high-life musician Nana Kwame Ampedu received the Lifetime Achievement Award. Gladys Waseredu has the details.
Three awards of the Ghana Music Awards. This is an award that seeks to reward very technical details of the musician's work. And so tonight we are going to find out who will do that. It's a pleasure to come your way with the edition. We'll find out, and when we are done, we'll be talking to all those who were successful and managed to pick an award. I just want to find out, what are we expecting tonight?
We're expecting to award about 10, give out 10 different categories tonight. And we're going to also have the opportunity to see performances from various artists, gospel, reggae, Afro, pop, high life, among others, yeah.
How different is this year's from previous years?
I always say in life, there's nothing new under the sun. So there's really not much difference. What is most important is to be honoring our musicians, our artists, for the hard work they've done within the year under review. So basically that is what we'll be experiencing tonight.
Okay, right. So we look forward to a beautiful night. All the best. Enjoy yourself.
Thank you.
Okay, so that was the head of productions for DH1 in Charterhouse. He says there is nothing new under the sun. But of course, at least something will be new this year. The fact that somebody else gets to pick up an award he or she may not have picked up before. Enjoy yourselves. Typical of most events in Ghana, the Industry Awards night started 2 hours late from the scheduled time, 7 p.m. But eventually, when the event started, it was pretty straight to the point. 10 awards were presented in all to industry players, including Gospel Album of the Year, which went to evangelist Dinah Asamoah. Record of the Year went to Koda. Songwriter of the Year went to Wiala for her.
Well, that does it for this afternoon's bulletin. But before I take leave of you, a look again at the top stories. Town and Country Planning has blamed Monday's gas explosion in Dansoman on rapid developments of the area. 700 motorbikes belonging to the ECG left to rot away in 7 regions across the country. An uneasy calm returns to Sushen in the New Joburg municipality after clashes on Monday left 8 people injured. Thanks again for watching. My name is Kwabna Chenchen. For more news, do well to log on to myjournline.com. Have a good afternoon.